talked about how the baptisms were done in the Old Man River. Do you remember when they started doing those in fonts in church buildings?
Well, as soon as they got good buildings in Tabor, I was baptized in the font
Hmm.
there. So that would be in 1948.
Taylor Stake had a font in Raymond.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
The other thing, the first baptism in Lethbridge Stake in a building was actually in one of the concrete enclosures in the Ellison Milling Company.
in the bottom of the elevator, they cleaned out one of the grain bins and
filled it up with
filled
water.
it with water.
And Tom Pratt was the first one baptized there. He was the first child born in Lethbridge?
Yes.
So he's the first birth and the first baptism indoors. That baptism has occurred on the river, apparently.
You ask where our parents were baptized. My mother lived in Purple Springs, which at that time was still part of the Lethbridge Stake, and they were baptized in the Old Man River. And it was the 1st of May, which was still very, very cold. The ice had just gone off the river. But she had a twin brother that was quite mean and teased her all the time and such. And my grandmother insisted that my mother be baptized first. And this really upset my mother. And she started to cry and cry and cry. She said, I want to be baptized before Melvin. That isn't fair. And Grandma said, well, he was born first and he gets that privilege. And finally, my grandfather took pity on her and said, okay, why do you want to be baptized first, Melba? And she says, well, she said, Melvin has been so mean and he will have all his germs washed into the river, all of his sins washed into the river, and I'll have to be baptized in his sins. And my grandfather said, well, don't worry about that, Melba. The river is flowing so fast that his sins will be all the way down to Wolf Island before you ever get in. And that made her quite happy after that. So she was quite willing to be baptized second.